Welcome back to another episode of the Growth, Grace, and Gratitude podcast. Today, we'll be talking with award winning traditional country artist Richard Lynch. We will talk about his release of Pray on the Radio Songs of Inspiration, and this heartfelt collection of spiritually uplifting tracks has inspired him to create more, which is amazing. He has spent the past 30 plus years living and breathing real country music, from his Keepin' It Country farm in Ohio to co-founding the Love Tattoo Foundation that supports our veterans. Richard's music is a genuine reflection of his values, faith, family, patriotism, and hard work. He has some chart-topping singles on iTunes, New Music Weekly, Indie World, Roots Music Report, and Christian Music Weekly. Richard has been recognized by Billboard magazine, Taste of Country, CCM magazine. He's performed and recorded alongside greats like Rhonda Vincent, Ronnie McDowell, and proudly holds a spot in the Ohio Country Music Hall of Fame and the Independent Country Music Hall of Fame. So wow, what a beautiful bio and everything you accomplished with music. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing more about your music.
Well, thank you for having me. I love real country music. I was born in a country music household. By that, I mean my dad was an incredible entertainer, singer. I grew up listening to people like George Jones and Conway Twitty and Buck Owens and Merle Haggard and Hank Williams and on and on and on. And those songs and those artists um, kind of got through to me, and they touched my heart then, and they touch my heart today. Like you mentioned some of my music there, but I write a lot of my own music, but it's got that traditional sound. It's got steel guitars and 3-part harmony and a storyline that you can understand. But I love real traditional country music, stuff that maybe might be considered too country for today's country radio. And I'm okay with that. If I'm too country for that, I'm perfectly fine with that.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think knowing what works for you and knowing what you enjoy is so individual, and it shouldn't be kind of dictated by the trends. I feel like we have so many trends in music where it becomes popular, one kind of sound or one kind of way of singing becomes super popular, but it's like everybody has their own way of translating their feelings into music. So it's nice to have your own authentic version of creation.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You mentioned Pray on the Radio. It's my current release, a CD, and I'm excited about that. It's um, 12 songs, 10 of which I have wrote, and the other two I just took some old tunes that I grew up loving and decided to put them on my version of this inspirational CD. And pretty excited about it. I don't make any apologies. I love the Lord, and I love the fact that I can say that. And when you have an inspiration for a song and it comes out of me, it usually comes straight from the heart. So I try to be as genuine as I possibly can.
That's amazing. Yeah, talking about your spiritual connection, like you have tracks like Thankful, Grateful, and Blessed, High Above the Midnight, The Phone Call, Starting Now. I feel like these are also really powerful affirmations in a way. Like I remember I created a guidebook for my clients to work on inner child healing, and it's like those kind of phrases are so significant when it comes to like being in the present. Talk a little bit about how you created your tracks and how your spiritual connection inspired you or helped you to co-create this beautiful work.
Well, when I get in the studio, there's nothing more gratifying for me than to have that idea, that inspiration that I wrote on paper, see it come to life and get in that studio and those musicians just bring it to life. And I love the fact that people have gravitated towards the traditional sound and more all the time. I think people are really hungry for a more genuine sounding music. At least that's the impression I get anyhow. A lot of folks have been, gravitating with us, and we have a radio show that we're pretty proud of, and But when I write a song, I'd like for it to be a true. I learned a long time ago. Just when you write music, just tell the truth. Um, you can fabricate something, and people can kind of see through less than genuine music. So I try to whatever music I write, I try to make sure it's really authentic and truthful, and coming from a usually a life experience that I have experienced in my life. I guess you might say.
That's amazing. And I think especially like for the youth, people who are up and coming and who are in the world of music and song and creation through that channel, I think you said a great you're honing in on a great message is focused on truth. And it's like I think that's the whole journey of life, right? We want to discover our truth and then hopefully channel it into something productive. And even if it is coming through the channel of music, that's even more beautiful because we're able to kind of solidify a significant spiritual feeling and it really helps to kind of create unity as well. So I love that.
Well, thank you. There's the title track of "Pray on the Radio" CD is actually it's the true story how it really happened. I was doing me and my wife was on a 4 state radio tour and going around
Oh,
playing and being interviewed by a lot of radio stations. And we just left the radio station there in Nashville, and we were heading west toward Memphis to do another radio station interview. And the phone rang, and it was a gentleman from California, and he had a radio station out there, and he said he'd been following my music for a long time, and he seen how busy we were, and the conversation went on, and toward the end of the interview, and keep in mind, I'm driving down the interstate with my pickup truck doing the interview. I told him that's what I was doing, and he was okay with that. So, towards the end of the interview, he said, Richard, do you mind if we pray on the radio? And I had never been asked that before or since. And this emotion came over me. And normally you would never find a pad of paper anywhere in the truck, but there was a pad of paper between me and my wife. And normally you would never be able to find a pencil or a pen, but there was a pencil on the dashboard. So I grabbed the pencil, I should say, and I'm steering the truck with my left leg, and I got the phone to my left ear, and I'm trying to write, and this just came to me all at once. This song did, and my wife looked over, all big eyed, and she grabbed the pad of paper and the pencil, and she started writing down what she heard me say during the conversation. Ultimately, the conversation is how the phone call or the is how the "Pray on the Radio" song came to be, just from an inspirational conversation with a radio disc jockey.
that's amazing. I think that shows how like the synchronicity of the universe really helps to manifest things. It's very interesting and it's so heartfelt. Um, in terms of like the harmony and the synergy of the notes for people who are interested to learn more about how they can perfect their craft, what are some tips that you have, or did you go through any schooling when it comes to learning music? Do you write your own songs, fully your own lyrics and harmonies? How does that whole process work?
Well, I don't have any professional schooling other than the fact that I grew up in a household where my dad would he was pretty good. I had to be something to be anywhere close to my dad's talent. So I learned at a young age, you give it your heart, give it your all, give it your heart, and be truthful. Something else I learned from my dad at a young age is surround yourself with people that want to see you succeed, because there's so many folks out there that, especially in the music business, don't necessarily want to see you succeed for fear that they won't have a shot or whatever. When in reality, if we all help each other along the way, we're all better because of it. But it's sad that sometimes happens. But just surround yourself with people that want to see you succeed. Um, be willing to take some criticism, and I love writing with people that I feel are better than me, and most of them are. But I love writing with people that inspire me. And so if I could give that advice to anybody out there, be inspired by people and ask them to write songs with you, and just learn as you go, not be afraid to make a mistake, and just kind of learn from it.
That's really great, and it's humble, and it's also, yes, I think there's so much greed going on, and you can't even think straight when that's the mentality you have, right? You can't even think to create beauty or to work with people for a common goal because you're so focused on the obsession of some kind of perceived victory that might not even be realistically aligned to happiness.
Right.
Do you have any favorite lyrics from your current album or your previous songs?
Well, I actually have a new song that is currently being in rotation and on being charted on several Christian country song or charts right now. And the name of the song is called "The Phone Call." And once again,
The
it's
song.
a real life situation. A friend called me, and you have to kind of know a little bit about his background. He was kind of rough around the edges, and kind of made some bad choices. And during this conversation, I just wrote a song and I dedicated it to him. And basically, the phone call just kind of tells its story itself. It's our current song and on Christian country music right now. And I think my wife said it's on four national charts or three national charts and one international chart. But there's a line in there that says, I've done some things in my life that I'm not proud of, and I've chose to hang around a pretty rough crowd, drinking and drugging. And right now, I don't have the exacts in my head right now, but you're picking up what I'm putting down. But I'm pretty proud of that boy's song there. It really touches home for folks.
That's amazing. And I think there is a beautiful message of redemption and how so many of us do crave the feeling of either being forgiven or forgiving ourselves or offering a hand to others when they're going through something challenging. I think it's so important to be aware of that journey. And many of our listeners are healing or going through recovery or just figuring out how to be more spiritual. So I think it's a beautiful message overall. And you also talk about your patriotism. That's a beautiful, not trend. It shouldn't be just a trend, but it should be a lifestyle, which is inspiring as well. How do you define patriotism with your music, and how does it tie into being patriotic with your music?
Well, I make no bones about it. I'm a red, white, and blue all American boy, and as far as I'm concerned, we can't do enough for our veterans and our military folks that put their life on the line every day. We have a farm in Waynesville, Ohio, that six times a year we have a concert, and we bring a Grand Ole Opry star or a national act to our farm, and we raise money and awareness for veterans groups and associations around the tri-state area: Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. And that's what we've focused on. We have done things with people like Ronnie McDowell, and we've recorded music with him and patriotic music. Ronnie, he served three tours of duty in Vietnam, and I've always loved his music, and I grew up listening to him, and got to be on some shows together. And I told him what I was doing with the patriotic music, and he said, "Man, I'd love to record with you." So we made that happen. Ultimately, we just like having people that respect our military men and women. And if there's something I can do, raise money, raise awareness, bring some kind of attention to these folks, because most of them folks never ask for anything. They're really humble. They wouldn't ask for anything. And so if we can bring awareness to a need of a particular veteran or an association, a group that helps veterans, I'm all in.
Amazing, amazing message for sure. And what advice would you give to your younger self?
Well, I'll go back a little bit what I said earlier. A younger person, you're really susceptible to your peers. You're really susceptible to what people think. Um, Find yourself and surround. Really, I mean this wholeheartedly. Surround yourself with people that genuinely want to see you succeed. It's one thing to have a little, a fly by night interest and play guitar and sing and for a couple of weeks and give it up. But if a parent or a neighbor or a family member sees an individual, months and years going on and they're really struggling and trying, hey, be supportive of them and, be to where they can help that person. I had to have a break at one point in my life, and of course, my dad was an incredible artist, and so I had some opportunities that a lot of folks don't necessarily have. But you still have to get out there. You still got to show yourself that you're sincere, and just by being and doing that, you can create a whole lot of opportunities just by folks seeing that, hey, I am sincere what I'm doing here.
Exactly. Yes, that's a wonderful message for the youth and for people to realign with their values and what's important. And also, yeah, it's 100% true. You want to find your passion, you want to find your purpose. You have to go out there and try things and experience and not be afraid of failure. I think we all experience failure. Failure is part of life, and it shouldn't be holding us back. It shouldn't be kind of like making us afraid of taking the next steps towards achieving great things. So, yes, totally
Exactly
agree.
right.
And also, where can people connect with you and get your albums and see your work?
Well, the best way to follow us and be kind of aware of what we're doing is go to Richard Lynch Band. That's Lynch band.com. And that's the don't go to Richard Lynch because that's some scary actor who's in California who's dead. Don't go there. Go to Richard Lynch Band, and you will find anything and everything you want to know about us. And we love the fact that we can meet people and the fans that we've acquired. When we do our shows, there's nothing better for me than to shake somebody's hand or hug their neck, and they could go anywhere, but they chose to spend their money with us. And I'm so grateful and thankful that a lot of folks, are gravitating toward our music. And we appreciate people like you that kind of help put us out there and make people aware that wouldn't necessarily be aware. So we're grateful for you too, Ari. I appreciate that a whole lot.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And so excited to have more traditional country music out into the world to help people heal, reconnect, and find unity through music. So thank you so much, Richard, for coming on the podcast.
Well, I had a great time, and hopefully we can do it again someday.